Oh, yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Look how smooth that is now. So welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, we are doing round 2 for the proper way this time to slow down extra fast hydraulics. Let me explain and then let me show you something very special I have in these boxes right here. All right, so I won't go through the whole spiel because we did it so many times, but long story short, this is a prototype, a beta test unit that I helped design with a company called Lamont. This is a mini excavator grapple built specifically to my specs for weight for a light machine, the size logs it can grab, etc. So being this is machine 1 of 1 right here that I am field testing and making changes to the production model, well, it may not be absolutely perfect. Thus far, love it. There's nothing I literally want to change on it. I've abused the heck out of it and it's performed great. But one thing I do actually want to change is the speed of the rotation. You just seen it. So in another episode, we took some actual fittings out of here and plugged them and re-drilled a new orifice size. To my surprise, even necking down from a 3/8 orifice to a 7/64, which is tiny by the way, we still get a lot of spin. So instead of taking this back apart, testing, drilling holes back and forth, I wanted to do something that I can actually manually adjust by hand the speed just to the rotator. So we got 2 lines coming down from the machine feeding this valve, and this is a diverter valve. We can send hydraulic fluid here with the press of a button. There's a plunger in there. Then it goes to the machine's rotator to spin, or we can let off that button. Hydraulic flow goes back through to those hoses for the clamp. The clamping speed I absolutely love. It's perfect. Big massive cylinder in there, it needs all the flow. The rotator does not need all the excess flow, and there's no way to turn down that specifically on the valve set. So my thoughts is, instead of keep plugging these holes and drilling little holes and orifices in there the way I was doing before, let's come up with a solution. We got limited room. Let's see if I can put some dial needle valves in here to where I can adjust the flow up and down on the rotator itself. So why is this important? When I'm holding several 1,000-pound logs that may be, say, 16 foot long, that's a lot of rotational force and momentum out there. We don't want to spin that very fast. Clamping, doesn't matter. Lifting up, not as important. Spinning, I want to be able to do delicate spins as I'm putting over, say, a dump trailer, setting logs down on a sawmill, things like that. I don't want quick, jerky motions or too much speed. So whatever we come up with today, if it works, well, I'll just pass this information along to the company, and whenever their production unit decides to be, well, in production, they can determine how they want to slow the flow down. Maybe they might put something manual like this. I doubt it. It would probably make more sense to get specific size fittings that are already built into the unit. Be cheaper, and it's just a kind of a one and done, set it and forget it type thing. Now, because I want adjustability, who knows, my situation may change down the road. I may decide, man, I like it nice and slow, and as I get more comfortable with this, I wish it was a little faster. Or for example, what about when I'm doing hurricane or tree cleanup? I'm grabbing light tops, I might want to spin those quickly. Well, now I can jump out of the machine, already have this, wrote down somewhere, and I can use this dial right here. This is a hydraulic needle valve right here, designed for thousands of pounds of pressure. And it's got all these different numbers you probably can't see on there. So what we can actually do is dial in or out. You see the gauge right there, the white with the lines, and numerical values, 1, 3, 5 goes up. And what that's doing is essentially, you're not gonna be able to see, but there's a tiny orifice in there where hydraulic fluid goes in, up, and over and out. Well, this is putting a needle plunger down in there to restrict flow or to open it all the way up. I think this is going to be really neat. At first, I thought these were a lot bigger than they are. We still got to figure out how to fit these in there, and it's going to be hard to get to them. But once I have them kind of set where I want, I can dial down, I can fine tune, or again, I can open the flow back up down the road. I think this is the right way to go right here. Now, some of you may find this episode boring. That's okay. We have many other episodes you can watch, but some of y'all are into this type of stuff. We're tinkering and figuring this out. So let's make sure I got everything correct that I need. This is standard 3/8 pipe fitting threads right here, which is what part of those fittings are in the machine. And then I ordered in some 3/8 by JIC compression fittings on the other end, 37-degree compression fittings. Now we're gonna wind up making a mess here, but you can see these two hoses right here go out, around, and down to here. So I'm pretty much bottomed out right here. I cannot put my needle valves on this side. Boy, that'd be nice if I could. They are gonna have to go in there. And these hoses are gonna have to get pushed out quite a bit. So I may actually have to wind up cutting these hoses down, but that's okay. I've got a hydraulic hose crepper if we need to make new sets. Oh boy, this is a tight squeeze and aggravating. All right, as I already knew going into this, man, that was a tight squeeze in there. But I do actually have the first one installed. We're moving on to the second one. It's going well, other than just fighting with tight areas. Plus, I've got so many different fittings, swivel fittings here, I'm having to get it all tightened and set up perfectly to where I can actually reach in and grab and rotate this dial. That's a heck of a lot easier said than done. I had to pull that other hose out 3 or 4 times to make adjustments to all these fittings so I could get the needle valve dial in the right position for me to manipulate and operate it. Now my concern will be leaks when we fire up, because I've got so many fittings going on here now on either side, and I've been breaking them loose and putting them back. There is a chance I'm gonna wind up with a leak. I might have to use some special wrenches like crowfoot wrenches or something else. All right, so the other good thing is, at least at the moment, I haven't had to shorten up the hoses. It's tight in there. Hopefully this one fits on halfway okay. See, I really need to tighten these up out here where I can get my wrenches on them. But by the time you flip this around and stick it back in there, it's in a completely different position than you're thinking about. Not even close. Oh my goodness. This is frustrating. It'll all be worth it though. Whenever I finally get it right, I might have to go get some special crow's foot wrenches and tighten this up in place. Of course, I don't have the right crow's foot or stubby wrench. You got to be kidding me. All right, so if you're not familiar with what a crow's foot is, this is it right here. Although this is one size too big, I'm gonna see if I can get it in there to tighten. But as you tighten like this, it's not made for making full rotations, but little quarter turns. This is really handy for getting you in oddball areas. Oh no. Except don't loosen up your fitting, you're supposed to tighten it, you dummy. So I'm actually having to loosen with the wrench because I'm going exact opposite in here. I'm gonna show you how it works. See that fitting all the way up in there I'm getting around? I can actually tighten it, although I've got it pretty snug right now. And I can reach those valves pretty good, I'd say. I am not confident I have everything as tight as it needs to be. So we may see some leaks, but we're ready to test these out. All right, let's test this bad boy out. I've got the valves all the way closed. Let's see if they hold. It's also a good time to test for pressure leaks, especially on this side of the valve, because I'm about to put max pressure to the valves. Uh-oh, see the hoses moving? No rotation, so the valves are actually holding. Checking for any leaks, especially on this side of the valve since they're closed off. Now here's what we'll do. I got them fully closed. See the little set screw right here? We can lock these in. I'll just do one full rotation. Now we're back around the set screw. Same thing for over here. You're not going to be able to see it, but set screw is right up there. All right, both of them are exactly one rotation. That could be too much, could be too little. Let's find out. There goes nothing. All right, that's max, and you can hear the engine stalling because it's trying to push all that fluid, but it can't. And I see a leak. Oh yeah, we got a good leak. Well, not that bad. But that don't surprise me. It was so hard to get in there and tighten stuff up. All right, leak has been tightened up best I could with the wrong size crowfoot. Let's cycle this again, check for leaks. Okay, that's wide open. Super easy to feather this, but actually still a bit fast. That's just crazy. It does not take much hydraulic flow to move this rotator. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to go back to only a half a turn open. I've just closed it completely off. I feel that the set screw is now on the back side, so now we're only at a half a turn. Close this one completely back off. All right, set screws up there, so it needs to be around that side about right there for a half a turn. This is also a good time to caution you. If you're going to restrict hydraulic flow, you've got to understand that restriction and that small neck down creates a lot of heat and resistance. However, on something like this, that's not a problem. I rarely use my rotator. It's not like this is always on and just a hydraulically driven machine that's just in full production mode. I'll be using my clamp far more and it's at full flow. So keep in mind, if you restrict hydraulic flow on any continuous flow machine, you're gonna wind up with a lot of heat. On an occasional use, a little bump like this, not gonna be a problem. All right, half a turn. Probably really gonna hear the engine bog down on this. I can't believe how fast that still is. I guess we're gonna do a quarter turn. That's insane. Hey, that's max. That's where it easily wants to go. That's getting pretty close where I want it, but I'm gonna do like an 1/8 of a turn open. I don't see how anything's gonna squeeze through. That's wide open. Okay. Now obviously you can hear we're putting a little bit of strain and lug on the engine as well because the hydraulic pump is trying to push flow and it can't. So it's almost deadheading the hydraulic fluids. A little bit's getting by. Again, that's not something I would want to do to my engine, you know, really lug the hydraulic pump like that. But this is only an occasional bump, just to spin a log, put it in a trailer. So I don't foresee any long-term side effects on my engine, on the valves, or again, my hydraulic fluid heating up. All right, so the real test is swinging a log, because then you get the visual of something way out there to see the speed that we're actually gonna have. I've got high hopes on this. It's looking good thus far. Oh yeah, I'm liking it thus far. a better grip on it. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Look how smooth that is now. I don't have to really feather and jerk it around. All right, that's max. And then this is just whenever I press about half. That I can live with. That's not dangerous by no means, but still fast enough to be productive for work. And normally I operate my machine a little lower RPMs whenever I'm doing work like this. So let's see. Oh yeah, baby. That's about as fast as I want. That's just what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's too slow, but yeah, I can go that slow. Yep, that's perfect. That's just what I'm looking for right there. Yes, sir. I am thrilled. Fantastic. All right, success, and I'm also thrilled to say no leaks. And believe it or not, I did not have much money in that. I really thought this was gonna be pretty expensive when I first started looking into it. Now I'm sure that's not high quality valves right there. Hopefully they don't blow out on me. But I think I got right at $100 for the valves and the fittings. To me, it's totally worth it because all it takes is one slinging around, one damage, one repair, one banging my trailer up, and I've got way more than $100 lost. And now that just makes this thing the perfect, ultimate grapple to me. I mean, I'm thrilled with it. The super fast rotator was the only thing I wanted to slow down. Sweet, well, I'll pass this information along to the company. I've had a ton of y'all reach out to me about this grapple. By the way, it's not a sponsored video, nothing like that, but I'm just giving you the information you're looking for. I don't want to speak for Bomb and Light, but they've been really taking my feedback. There's been no changes that we've had to do. I'll just tell them to restrict the orifice size on the rotator, and maybe before long, they'll start working this into production. What y'all have got to understand is it doesn't mean all the parts are sitting on the floor and they just start assembling them. Whenever they decide to give this the go-ahead, then they've got to do a bulk order of rotators, all the other parts, find these orifices that they want to neck down, get all the steel in, then start their production line. So you're still talking a few months out. So for all of y'all that's been asking, bear with me. As soon as I get word from them that this is going to go to production, pricing, anything, something pops up on their website, I will let y'all know. But right now the testing has been awesome. It just needed this little tune up right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.